A show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon Spa Nail and Barbershop, the Wellness Center, Medical and Behavioral Health Clinics, Ticely Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, HOV Medical and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment. This is The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this outdoor edition. Sometimes it's so important and so refreshing to step out of the studios and be in the fields, meet people where they're at. And so today I am at Virgin Gorda with, with a beautiful Sharon, Flax-Brutus. Sharon, it's been a while.
Yes, it has. It has, Catherine. But I've been busy. You've been busy. But I'm glad that you're in Virgin Gorda.
Yes, and I had to insist on being here. Well, we know this is the month for women. This is the era, I should say, for women. Because we're hearing all sorts of talk surrounding women and empowering women in different ways. But we want to focus today on women as Women's Month, for the month of March, where we celebrate us. And, you know, I sought you out specifically because of the development that we have seen and heard coming from. We know that you're a girl, don't give up for nothing. Once your hand in something, it is for the best of it. And, you know, and I commend you for that. But that's the reason why I thought, you know, if there is one woman I want to have a chat with during this month is with Sharon Flax-Brutus. Tell us how it's been going.
Well, it's been going well. Kathy, first of all, I'd like to say, you know, thank you for thinking about me for this. I mean, you and I go back quite a ways. But as you said, it's the International Month of Women. Most people who know me know that I consider myself a feminist, a suffragist for women. And for me, it's very important that we highlight the contributions that women make, not only worldwide, but to the BVI. But yes, I've been busy, as you mentioned. That's the way that I am. My motto is always to find a way to keep it going.
Awesome. When we talk a lot about women and women being equals and stuff, you know, sometimes you would hear a response from a man who says, okay, I'll throw down that heavy rock there, you pick it up, you want equality. But help us to understand what it really means when we say, you know, women being equal as men.
I think when at least when I talk about being equal, I talk about equity. I talk about balance, and yes, it is that some of us may want to think about it as purely physical, but a lot of it, in my opinion, comes down to mental strength, mental fortitude, and to be able to be innovative and have what I call out of the box thinking. And I think a lot of that is required these days. Some of us women were upsetting the status quo. But then again, the status quo maybe needs upsetting. I think of that song from Seal. In fact, it was sort of one of my mantras for the last couple of years that a change is going to come. And for me, Seal epitomized that in that song. Another song that kept me going these past few years, it's a song religious in its undertones that says, you'll never walk alone. And, that has kept me grounded with everything I do, and just about everything I do has a tourism bent and a tourism focus. But as you said, we're talking about female empowerment, and the important thing is for other women, whether older or younger, and young ladies who are aspiring and they're thinking about what they want to do. I think it's important for them to see that that you don't give up. You have to believe in yourself, and we have to make sure that there are strong role models and mentors for these young ladies out there. They have to see that, you know what, she can do it, so so why can't I?
And when you say why can't I do the things that I am passionate about? Why can't I do the things that I think that will make me a better woman, will they elevate me in the space that I exist? And it takes me to something that I get perturbed about a lot, is when a woman position herself as a strong woman, a resilient person. Many times, when she needs someone to give her a little hug, someone to embrace her, someone to say, keep up the good fight, many times what that woman gets is, you're strong, carry on.
Yes.
And nobody reaches out to you. You shed your tears in your closet. You go to your best friends, and that person or your partner is the only one who really feels that hurt. But people see you out there as this tower of strength and forget that you are human too, with
Yes.
emotions.
And I think that's one of the things that that tends to bother me, quite a bit, even for other women who are in the public sphere, because as you said, you do have feelings, you do have families, you do have loved ones who sometimes they take whatever challenges that you are going through even harder than you are. But I think it's how we've been socialized. We've been socialized to believe that women should know their place. I think you and I spoke about it on a personal level,
yes.
where I had a very prominent person in the community said to me that I needed to stay in my lane, and I was like, well, you don't seem to stay in yours, and at the end of the day, what is your lane? What is my lane? And I believe that if we can contribute, we should contribute positively, and that women, we should be uplifting each other. Sometimes, sadly, we tend to get more criticism from other women, and I think it's not because they don't want to support you, but it comes from that socialization, that fear of supporting you in the public space. And I'm the type of person, most people know, I say what I have to say and I move on. I'm very vocal on social media. So I'll get a message or I'll get a call and say, oh, Sharon, I agree with you. I said, well, why are you calling me? I said, you're on socials, you're on the community chat, same as I am. So I said, why don't you put it there?
Exactly.
But it's very hard living in a small society to be able sometimes to take the ostracism and the negative connotations that come with being yourself,
Yeah.
you know.
And the thing that I love about a lot of us women who would have been able to find our strength, and even though we still have weaknesses, we learn how to be able to take those negatives and find the positives in it. I, for one, I know that's a trait I have. If you throw a bottle at me that burst in my face, and well, I'll say thanks for cooling me down.
Yes, yes.
And that's a place that many of us need to get to.
Yes, I think we need to look at it. I always, always talk about my mother. And, she had this trait saying, like all of our mothers, who would say, every disappointment is a blessing. But I also look at every disappointment as a lesson, because you couldn't be the type of person that you are unless you went through those experiences. So whether good or bad, I tend to look at it as a building block. And yes, some building blocks are tough.
Rough.
They're rough, you try to build, you break it breaks down, or something or somebody tries to break you down, but you have to just you have to keep it you have to keep it going. You have to keep it going in a very positive way. And we talk about taking the high road. We talk about standing on the shoulders of our foreparents and the women who went before us, and we have to do that, because if we don't, then what are we saying to the younger the younger generation? Because after all, we're not here forever.
Exactly, and it's only this morning I was reflecting on that, looking at the number of funerals that we've been having in the
Yes.
territory recently, and it's mainly the senior citizens. I'm like, the grave is such a wealthy place. Isn't there a way that, we could tap in on these seniors to get, some of that? I mean, for a lot of them, maybe their families, the immediate families would know of what they would have experienced, and would have gone with. But it's so important for us to nurture and carry along, in this instance, the young women.
Yes, and you mentioned funerals, and we have been seeing a lot of that, and a lot of the wealth and the information, they're taking it with them. I've been doing a tourism series on Virgin Gorda tourism stalwarts on my social media pages, and I did it because a lot of the young people don't realize the rich tourism legacy that we have here on Virgin Gorda. They see people like my father driving the street in his taxi. They see some of the guys, brought on cricky from the front desk, Miss Grace Waters or whatever, and they have no idea what these people have contributed. And it's the same in terms of embracing women. This month, I'm embracing women. I'm working with Win BVI. Their theme this month is being bold transformers. And I'm going to be profiling as much as I can women in the BVI, as well as women in the world who I feel are bold transformers and who have helped to transform me, and I'm sure you.
Yeah, you have been one of those that would have helped me along my journey, in terms of just looking at you, just hearing you speak, just following in your social media platforms, so we can. When you said it earlier, I wonder if you were silently in a room, listening to what's her name, Gloria George Foy's presentation at her session that she had. It's what she said about women carrying each other, complimenting each other, learning how to do things for each other, rather than thinking that you have to pull away. And when I heard you say it earlier, it stuck me, so I had to bring it out now.
Yes, yes, of course. And I'm glad to see Gloria doing things like that and having a focus every month. Not every month, every year. But she's also very active, and she's one of those, who I call unsung heroes, that you kind of like take them for granted because we think that they're silent. They're not out there like me, but she isn't. She isn't silent. And then we look at what Cindy is doing.
Yeah, oh yes,
Cindy
hers coming up,
Roseanne,
yeah.
her event coming up, and it's interesting that her keynote speaker is actually a BVI lander who has done very, very well for herself in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and she takes that BVI torch, that Virgin Gorda torch, into the U.S. Virgin Islands, and we're very proud of her as well.
Okay. All right, we're coming down to the one. We got to get into your business a little bit. And now you've made some really good accomplishments recently. We remember it was 2020. It's 2020 that you departed from the BVI Tourist Board as a director. You came home to Virgin Gorda where you didn't have to do the daily commute anymore. And you landed yourself as a director of operations.
Yes.
For Virgin Gorda Villa Rentals. I was not able to attend the Win BVI forum that they had over here, the retreat. But when I got the tape and I brushed through, the first stop that I made was on you.
Wow.
Honestly, that is the God's truth. The first stop, it just stopped there. And there you were talking about this accomplishment and how it came about. For those who haven't heard yet.
I mean, Kathy, every time I think about it, I tend to get very, very emotional. It's been a tough couple of years. I would say it's been very tough from 2017 with what happened with the storms, trying to keep the BVI out in front in terms of a tourism perspective. You think you had it all sorted, and then along comes COVID, and then for me along came a career change.
Yeah.
And I moved over to Virgin Gorda Villa Rentals, and it's been a learning curve, but I love being out there. I love seeing guests happy, and it was another opportunity to be able to prove myself unto myself that, let me see how I can help to bring this company to the next level. So, I have to laugh because I actually thought I called a meeting with Chris, and the idea was that I felt I had worked really hard for 2 years and I wanted to hit her up for a raise. And then we sat down and she said, well, I'm going to offer you partner. And I said, well, I have nothing. Mm-hmm. She says, you've brought a wealth to the company. I'm offering you managing partner. And like typical Sharon, the waterworks started. I started crying and blubbering and all of that good stuff. But I have to really say thank you to Chris. And I think that her legacy as well is underscored. If we look at what Chris has done in terms of female empowerment, she's one of the few in the construction industry who has architects, who has project managers, who are women. She's made in other aspects of her businesses, made other persons partners. So I like that she is looking at the future and she's looking at continuity. And if I could be anything close to what Chris is at her age and the mind that she has, I would. I consider myself blessed.
Okay. And it's women like those that we look and draw from to help us to continue to do what we know you really should be doing.
And for me that she saw more in me than I saw in myself, and I'm glad that she appreciated it. And for me it's a team effort. I could not have done it without my team at Virgin Gorda Villa Rentals, my support network, my family, my friends, but my staff, I have to say, they're absolutely amazing. I mean, there are days when I'm sure that they wanted to see the back of me and say, that woman got to be out of her mind if she think that way. But now we're all seeing the fruits. Our occupancy so far is great, knock wood or whatever.
It's gonna
And
stay that way.
we're starting to gel, and they're understanding that for us, it's about exceeding the expectations of every guest who comes to Virgin Gorda Villa Rentals in Leverett Bay.
Awesome. And there is one other thing. Now the Chamber of Commerce, the BVI Chamber of Commerce and Hotel Association, no longer carries that long name.
No,
There's a
no.
separation. For commerce is by itself, and the Hotel Association, Chamber of Commerce is now by itself, and the Hotel Association,
is by. But the thing is, it's something that we've been working on for close to a year. And the BVI CCHA, they've endorsed what we've done. They've endorsed the morphing of the hotel and tourism side to, to those of us in the industry who our main goal is to help the industry. It is to work alongside the BVI Tourist Board, industry partners, and by extension the government, so that we remain as one of the top Caribbean destinations.
And who better to take on the head of that?
And I mean, I'm interim. I'm the interim director for the time being because I believe in, in participation. I believe in the industry coming on board. We decide what we want, our logo to look like, who we want our board of directors to be, and what we want our focus as an organization to be. I have my ideas, but no woman is an island.
Yeah. We ain't gonna say that. Oh, Sharon, this is so awesome. I'm so happy that we had this opportunity to have this conversation. But I want to give you the opportunity now to directly speak to our young women, speak to our young men, speak to the men folk in our society who feels a little threatened when they see women try to assert themselves into a position of strength. Speak to those categories for me.
Okay, well, Kathy, you said to speak to I would say speak to everyone collectively in the BVI. We are at a pivotal point in the BVI in terms of both our economic and social development. I would say no sector can do it, by itself. I think a lot more of us need to be more community-minded and to be able to speak out. It doesn't matter if it's a woman, if it's a child, if it's an adult, but sometimes I think we have to listen to quote unquote the common man or woman. Because a lot is riding on our success, and if we don't find a way to work together to empower ourselves, to empower women, I believe if we empower women and we embraced women a bit more, a lot more could be done in our society. I had to say that that, Kathy, and it's not about asking for a seat at the table. We need to just take our seat at the table because we are a part of the society here. So why not embrace us in terms of listening to our ideas and putting some of them into effect, because we do have a lot of women at the table and on the fringes, but how many of them are really listened to? That tends to be my biggest challenge with it. And when we get loud, or we get or we get louder, that loudness is looked at negatively. But I think about it, why would we have to get loud to be heard and to be paid attention to? We should be at that table just like anyone else. And that's what I encourage the young women, because our focus this month is women. And I encourage young women to make yourself heard. Do it in a very disciplined and respectful way, but make your voices heard. Never, ever, ever think that you are less than you are. For me, that's the most important thing. Always believe that you can do it, and with the God at your side, guiding your path, you never know.
You never know. And you are a true testament of you never know. Wanting calling a meeting to negotiate a bigger salary, and you never know.
You never know.
Sharon, it was a great privilege to be able to sit here with you. This is a special rock, right?
It is a special rock, and I think when my father was putting it here, all of us were like, "Daddy must be out of his mind." But he passed us a little while ago, and I know when I go inside to Fisher's Cove, because we chose to do it here because
Yes.
Fisher's Cove is where everything started for me, from a tourism perspective, from a community civic-minded perspective. And I know he's going to get such a big smile, and for me, that's my biggest gift.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much again. Don't let it be too long again before we can have another conversation.
No, Kathy. I will. I know that you're always after me to. So I'll be out there. Just a little bit more. Just sharing, my experience. I do have to say before we go though that a lot of what I do now, and believing in myself more, I could not have done it without Mark, my better half. And I know he's going to be there going when this airs. She knows I don't like to be in the public. But, there's a lot that I can say, about him for believing in me and pushing me, helping me. There's a lot to be said for having someone in your corner who is always in the corner of women.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much for taking time out to share this moment with us. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you for joining us.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
but with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life.
We will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.